DCarsonCPA, MFC on the lines. When we break out the sketchboard, we're here to tell you about a mind map about a specific area in the economy and financials, some things we've thought about, where to help. These lines today are specifically about entrepreneurs, private equity, venture capital, and the go-getter lines. We're talking about accounting and the ecosystems, getting the support you need, aka where do you want to be in the economy and financials. Now, I think that's a good framework question to ask because, in order to set up your business, to pursue a line, you really want to think about who you are, where you want to go, what you want to do, and that's it alludes to the lines of the importance of business planning. So at the start of the line, if you're an entrepreneur, private equity, or venture capitalist, and you're looking to be a go-getter, you definitely want to be exceptional. You're separating yourself from the pack. You're saying you're someone who wants to start something, pursue something, and that's not an idea that everyone has. You've got a high tolerance to risk. That's an important thing because there's going to be some risk and challenges here, but it also needs to be grounded to the point constraints of risk management. That's a relevant point because we come in, and that's where you're going to work with strong financials. Financials root your plans to lines of accounting, taxes, financials, compliance. You should be both thinking about the ways you can grow and develop, but also thinking about the roots of financials. And it's not to take away from what you're doing, it's to strengthen what you're doing. Because if you have strong financials, a strong map through the financials, it'll make it easier to take the next step and map your lines for growth. To think about a couple alternative plans and an exit plan about how you build your business and pursue your idea. Now, we're optimistic, we want to see you meet growth, but we also want to have a good, realistic plan because in this way, you will be quite aware of the risks as well as the opportunities and be flexible and nimble enough to pivot if you should meet some resistance to your idea or find out that your exact idea wasn't the one, but perhaps one that's close enough that you can reach, that your runway gives you room to pivot to, will allow you to continue to grow and to actually take your investment in capital, time and all those other things to make a fruitful venture out of this. So our goal here is to help you as an entrepreneur, a private equity, venture capitalist, or someone who's a go-getter along all those lines. And basically we're going to talk about a couple factors around this. We want to start with a point that we have experience that's both large and small, and the balance of Fortune 500 and small experience brings two complementary factories. The large entity is rigid and structured, so that's good in the strong controls, but the small entity is lean. It's got a mindset to the needs for growth, for efficiency, the vitality of actually feeling that in a business, because sometimes in a Fortune 500 you may not see the salespeople or you may not speak to a client. You can get put in a place where your silo may prevent you from feeling the vitality of the business. And so the combination of skills we have to both see the strong structure as well as the vitality of a small business and the critical importance to work on factors like growth, efficiency, and improvements is a very relevant part of the skill set we bring. We mapped into our area from looking at the global economy because we had skills for large entities and financial entities. We're mapping across financial sectors. And we took our skills from the start point in the first couple of years of our practice to look at the round 360 of the global economy, looking at things like economics, statistics, financials, legal, technology. In current times we're thinking about ICT, the cloud, and mobile technology, and then also thinking about the virtual and physical lines to business, because today some businesses are in the clouds, some businesses are physically still in store locations, and many times you have a combination of both factors have to work together to make it happen. So we look at the round 360, we bring in economic research, and then we think about the many lines that work very closely with financials, including those core technology lines. Now, you're an entrepreneur, a private equity person, or venture capitalist. You're going to start into these lines. The first thing you need to figure is about the construction of your entity, how you want to do that. And frequently what you do is you'll be gathering capital, or you have a friend you're working with or something where you're bringing money together. What you want to do is set up a formalized structure of a corporation or a partnership. So that may be a first step to gather the capital in your business for exploration and growth. And then you've formed an entity, provided that the paperwork's filled out correctly, accepted by the state. You've started an entity, and then there's some needs about how to structure it and maintain it that go on, and those are points where financial accountants and CPAs like ourselves, as well as attorneys, can help you out. There's some line of cross intersection there and some points where we both add value. You've built an entity there, or on the other form, you've figured about doing a Schedule C just till you get it up and running to see what you can do. Now, that leaves you with a little bit of the personal risk because one of the ideas of creating a corporate structure is to spread out that risk, and if you leave it direct, you've got a little bit more of the retained direct risk, and that's a gross oversimplification because what you do with an entity is very important, the way you do it, to maintain that risk management line, so you have to be careful about that too. So now you're into the lines where you may have chosen one or the other format, but there's a couple things you got to do. That's a conceptual point. You want to start an entity or you want to go the other way with it. Now what you're going to do is think about some fact-finding things that are going to help you be better at what you do. See, if you're looking at what you're doing, what you really want to do is think about, how can I best assure my success? Financials are the tool, and there's one thing that will precede this whole thing, which is you want to look for a tangible idea, a tangible needs in the economy where you see that you can fill a gap with some skill that you have, with some good service or product. And if you look there and you can see it right away, something that's as easy to see maybe as that coffee cup holder that everyone uses when they get a hot cup of coffee, there was actually someone who saw that and said, geez, people get burned. You want to put a sleeve on this, but you don't want to put a sleeve on it that's going to consume all this material. You just need enough to keep people from getting burned. So they patented an idea, and now today everyone walks around with those holders and the coffee cups, and it's a good example of someone seeing a need in the economy and financials, plugging the hole, going out there and making some money because now they have licensing on that. They've done a lot of good stuff to create IP, to map that IP out, and they make a couple pennies every time. But imagine how many cups of coffee, that's a multiplier, which is just a small thing, but over time they make a lot of money. Next point in the line is to map supply and demand. Supply and demand is understanding who you are, your goods, service, or product, where you can bring it to market, who's there to receive it. You got to know your product, and you've got to know your environment, and both of those lines with the supply and demand are points of growth research. We can help in those lines. We're positioned to think about many points in the economy to map supply and demand, to map growth. And so one element of plugging into the DCarsonCPA MFC lines is we can help you on the strategy for the business plan to help you map some of the growth and analysis and be a part of your team from the get-go at that point. Next point on the line is to get some feedback. If you can get together a test, you test viability. You want to look at your customers, test viability. Let's say you're a restaurant, you want to make a plate. All right, make that plate and go out there and test it. Let some people that represent your demographic try it, see if they like it. If they do, good, you're in a good spot. Conversely, you might get some negative feedback, and that negative feedback is always a point for improvement. So positive or negative feedback can help you grow. A lot of people seek the positive feedback. You do want some sign of, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. And even that negative feedback will give you something where you might be able to adjust a few ratchets here and there, tighten up what you're doing, and find your success line. We're down here. The next point that we wanted to raise was about the continual R&D and feedback, and that's about getting feedback from your customers, so we've already generally covered that. You're in an entity now, you've run through all these steps. These are kind of planning and development steps, or they could happen after, because sometimes it might be you were ready to go. You're like, I have this idea, so I'm going to launch it. You set up an entity, but now you're going to have to backfill, get this in, or just start to put it in place. And perhaps you started the entity because you got the funding, you want to set that up, and now you want to do the step. But it's all a relevant point of planning where our skills in economic, statistical, financial, legal, technology, and cross-sector industry research will really help you out. Our focus lines will be gap, tax, compliance, and then what we're talking about here is the managerial and finance lines, where you work with analysis, you map strategy with financials, with technology, with communications, and we can help in the sales and development lines, because we realize that not enough people are focused on how to help you on those critical lines. And let's face it, when you're starting a business, that's a helpful thing. If your accountant is not only thinking about your financials, but is also thinking about your growth lines, well, then you got someone on your side, can help in your team, and that's who we like to be. I'm Dean Carson. There's a map of where we are in the VC, the entrepreneur, and the venture capital lines. We're here to help you grow, help you to be exceptional, and help you to beat the odds for a startup, help you to manage the risk, hopefully connect to a tangible good or service that can go out to market, and help you be successful and find the growth you seek to reach that opportunity, the reward opportunity. Because if you're going for growth, the other side of the equation is risk, and for taking that risk, it's rightful that you would seek a return. So within the lines of a socially acceptable business that meets the societal lines of compliance, we're here to help on your financials. I'm Dean Carson. Find your way to DCarsonCPA MFC lines. These are the lines in growth and risk management to help on entrepreneurial development. I'm Dean Carson. Thanks a lot, and we hope to see you soon on Business Needs.